Hello.
Good morning. We've got about a couple more minutes before we get started.
Nice fireplace, you guys.
When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me? Stand by me willingly? Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me? Comfort me tenderly. Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
Good morning. I'm Thena Berry, and I'm your service coordinator today. This is our last Sunday of 2020. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little excited about that. We know that more of you than usual might be watching this later on YouTube due to internet outages. As you know, we had an incident in Nashville on Christmas morning. Even if you aren't watching the service live via Zoom, you are still very much in our hearts, as is all of Nashville, as we find our way forward once again. We are very blessed to have Michelle as our minister speaker today. She's coming to us from GNUUC, which is lovely to see. And Jenny is our Zoom host. Our chalice lighting today is Let This Be a Place of Silence by Barbara Stevens. Please read along with me. Let this be a place of warm and gentle silence, the silence that soothes, the silence that listens, the silence that speaks. We are grateful to see 2020 draw to a close, and yet it has shown us our strength as a community in so many ways. we are not alone. You are not alone. Your family is not alone. Reverend Cynthia is glad to hear from you via email, text, or phone call, and you could see all the ways to connect with her on the slide there. In this sacred space, we create together during worship each week and throughout the week when we are still a congregation. All are welcome who share our commitment to our mission, which you see on your screen. The transforming power of love is our core belief. We embody a sanctuary of compassion, integrity, and respect. We champion justice, equity, and peace. If you are new to GNUUC and possibly Unitarian Universalism, even if our mission appeals to you, it is critical to know that at GNUUC, you are not required to sign a statement of faith or swear to certain beliefs. We are a free church, driven by a quest for truth as it is known by each person. And yet, we do have boundaries in our relationships with each other and our greater world. Please join in reading our covenant if the words are ones to which you are willing to commit. We covenant together to make a welcoming community, to walk together in the way of truth and love, to seek the life of the Spirit as it is known by each person, to support each other in thought, word, and deed as we work to build a better world. For our opening song today, please sing with joy and even rise if you would like to share it as well.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. With my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul.
For our Time for All Sages today, Michelle has chosen a video for us about the person who brought us early images of the silent, small beauty of snowflakes. Let's learn about Snowflake Bentley.
It's magical. You look out the window and you see those first snowflakes start to fall, and you can't help but get a little excited that, is this going to be a big storm? And
depending on the weather, the temperature, humidity, everything you want to take into consideration with it. But it's not supposed to be any two alike.
In a time before computers, digital cameras, and even electricity, 10-year-old Wilson Bentley had a dream: to capture the beauty of a snow crystal.
Always, from the very beginning, it was the snowflakes that fascinated me most. The farm folks up in this country dread the winter, but I was supremely happy.
Oh, I think the whole thing is incredibly strange and special. The idea of this guy running around chasing snowflakes and making these negatives of them. It's just astonishing. It's so obsessive and passionate, and to make it then a life's work. It's a great story.
Bentley was born on February 9th, 1865, in Jericho, Vermont. His father was a farmer, and his mother was a teacher.
His mother had an old microscope that she used in her school teaching. So Bentley sat out in a shed in the back of the house, using the old microscope and looking at snow crystals. He did this again and again and again.
Bentley was a lover of nature, and he was infatuated with the symmetry of the snowflake. There was hexagonal beauty in the structures themselves.
I became possessed with a great desire to show people this wonderful loveliness.
He decided he had to get a camera.
This is the actual piece that he purchased. It's a bellows camera. The rest of it he had to adapt for the camera and then add the microscope onto it. One of the problems he had was that the microscope was in the front, and he had to view the snowflake from behind, and he was unable to reach and focus. So what he did, he designed this pulley system with a string and some wooden wheels, and he attached it to the fine focus of the microscope so that when he was behind the camera, looking through it, he'd be able to focus the microscope to get a clear picture of the snowflake.
Yeah, at the time, photography was probably only 20 years old, and most of it was portrait photography. So to interface the camera with the microscope was a rather unique thing.
The actual making of these photographs couldn't have been more difficult, could not have been harder. So you've got this guy chasing around in some field with this piece of black velvet, catching the thing on the, catching a little snowflake on the piece of black velvet, and then he's manipulating it with a feather.
They had chickens in their chicken coop, and he would get a feather. There's always feathers, he was feathers all over the place. He picked up a feather, and with that feather, he could move that snowflake around to get just the ones that he wanted and push away the others.
He'd bring it back in the shed, and he'd very carefully look at it. And if he found a snow crystal he wanted to photograph, he would pick it up very gently and put it on the microscope slide. Then he would put that in front of the camera and point the camera out into the storm so you get in the flight. He worked with transmitted light. He had no electricity, so he had to use the light, natural light that he was able to get. It would take him anywhere from maybe 20 seconds to maybe 2 minutes for the exposure. But that's how we got it.
On January 15th, 1885, Wilson Bentley took the very first photograph of a snow crystal.
The day that I developed the first negative made by this method, I felt like falling on my knees beside that apparatus and worshiping it. I knew then that what I had dreamed of doing was possible. It was the greatest moment of my life.
They are beautiful photographs, first and foremost. And I think that that's the product of this sort of single-minded vision, just to get it right, to make them look handsome.
This was his obsession for the rest of his life. I think you could compare it to the Holy Grail. He was searching for that most magnificent of all snow crystals.
Oh, for 1,000 hands, 1,000 cameras to preserve more of this exquisite beauty, so lavishly scattered over the earth.
Bentley was motivated from within and not from his family who kind of looked down their nose at what he was doing.
His father and brother never appreciated what he did, and they thought it was an absolute waste of time.
There's always work to do on the farm, and he's out there taking pictures of stupid snowflakes.
In spite of a lack of understanding and support, Bentley went on to take over 5,000 photographs of snowflakes.
Well, it's remarkable that he was able to photograph as many photographs as he did in a relatively short period of time. I think on some days he He was able to photograph more than 50 snow crystals in a single day or a single snowstorm.
I think he was just looking at them, just really getting off on the total weirdness and beauty and specialness of them.
It's not the same kind of world that we had in those days. I don't think people would want to spend that amount of time. They don't have time for this, time for that. I got to do this. I got an appointment here. No way.
In the fall of 1931, after years of effort, Bentley finally convinced a publisher to print a complete collection of his snow crystal images.
2 days after Thanksgiving, 3 copies of his book arrived in the mail. And I had to believe he was just overjoyed at that. However, he did not have too much time to enjoy it. A week or so later, I believe he was coming back from Jericho, and I've been told it was pretty cold out and pretty wet and some snow down on the ground, and he got pneumonia. They had a nurse come in, but it was too late. He was getting sicker and sicker, and 2 days before Christmas, 1931, he died.
When he died, I felt badly about it because I just knew that we had lost somebody that was far ahead of everybody else in this particular science.
By and large, I think most people don't realize who Bentley was. And yet, most of the time when you see an image of a snowflake, it's either the actual image that Bentley took or photographed, or it's an artist's reconstruction of that snowflake.
I think he is very happy that so many are beginning to appreciate what he had been doing. Really. I hope he is, but I have an idea.
Wow, thanks, Michelle, for finding such a beautiful mini documentary to share with us. I absolutely love that. There's a lesson in this for me, the lesson that in the stillness, one can practice their passion and move the world forward. I remember seeing these images, these snowflake images in school as a girl, and being fascinated by them. Someone sharing their passion is always fascinating. And now, our Share the Plate moment in the service. With so much happening in our world, the work of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee is absolutely critical. Though they are technically a separate entity from the UU Association, our governing body, the UUSC's work threads through the UU principles. Please donate as you are able in any of the ways shown on the screen. You are also welcome to mail a check to the church. The address can be found on our website, as well as the link to donate directly. Thank you for your generosity. You have always shown us as a congregation. For our meditation today, we are joined by Zane. He's not actually in the fire, I promise. Michelle has chosen a reading on breathing by Reverend Samuel A. Trumbore. Reposition yourself in your chair or on your couch so that you can be comfortable. Feel free to close your eyes or even turn off your video if that feels relaxing to you. After the reading, we'll have some music to bring us back together. And with that, Breath Meditation by Reverend Samuel A. Trumbore. Let us turn inward now. Feel the rhythm of the breath in and out, in and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath, letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment. a peace large enough to open to the concerns and sorrows that trouble us, a stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. There is safety here in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and flow of life is enacted with each one, taking in oxygen sustenance, letting go of carbon dioxide wastes, taking in the fullness of experience, letting go of the residue that wants to cling to us. Cultivate inner peace and inner safety in this sanctuary, dedicated to cultivating the spirit of life, dedicated to being a beacon of love for all beings. I am so looking forward to being back in the building to be able to sing that song with the whole the choir. I really miss making music together. Oh, Fran, I cannot wait. Though she is one of her own, it's always amazing to me to learn more about folks in our congregation. Reverend Dr. Michelle Pederson is a community minister affiliated with our congregation, Greater Nashville Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Michelle is a self-employed spiritual director. She received spiritual direction training from Heschia School of Spiritual Direction at the Redemptorist Renewal Center in Tucson, Arizona. Reverend Michelle received a Master of Divinity degree from Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago and was ordained in our congregation in 2016. Michelle is also a sociologist, receiving a doctorate from Loyola University in Chicago in 2006. And more information about Reverend Dr. Michelle and her ministry can be found at Spirit Space Nashville. That's www.spiritspace.org. nashville.com. And with that, let me turn it over to you.
Thanks, Nina. Good morning, everyone. I am here at GNUUC because I don't have internet at home. So it is lovely to be here and a little sad to look at all the empty chairs. Have you ever entered a room and everyone stops talking? It can feel awkward. That's how I imagine the year 2021 will feel as it appears onto the scene. A meme I recently saw sums it up well. It implored nobody claim 2021 as their year. We're going to be good. Walk in real quiet and don't touch anything. Sounds like good advice to me as we begin the last week of the year. Perhaps instead of the confetti, whistles, horns, noisemakers to welcome in the new year, we instead turn off the music and lights and sit in quiet reverence, gently coaxing the new year into life. Stillness and silence are important elements to coaxing things into life, into action. On a rainy Thanksgiving night years ago, we had enjoyed a great meal with GNUUC and were driving home. Upon turning into our long country drive, we found a car, a man, a woman, and a dog lying under a tarp. The woman was quite distraught because as she was driving home, she had hit the dog when it darted out. She went to the first house that she saw, which was our neighbor, who thought the dog was one of ours. When we arrived, we determined that it wasn't our dog, and the woman became even more agitated. Meanwhile, the dog was on the ground under a tarp, hurt and frightened. So while the woman told of her experience to the others, I sat down on the ground near the dog. I could see a collar and thought perhaps there would be information about his owner on there. So I sat and waited for the dog to become calm. I wanted to see how badly he was hurt. I watched, spoke gently to him, and continued to wait. After some time, he inched nearer to me and gave the universal dog sign for pet me. Through stillness, I was able to build trust with the dog. Eventually, he allowed me to pick him up, carry him to our home, and then on to an emergency veterinarian. Being still and calm allowed the dog to become calm. In spiritual direction, stillness and silence are important to coaxing things into life. I begin each session with some shared silence, allowing us to gather our thoughts, to come fully into the present moment, to ground and center. Throughout the session, we pause and sit in silence to allow whatever is on the heart of the directee to bubble to the surface. Howard Thurman wrote, "In the stillness of the quiet, if we listen, we can hear the whisper of the heart giving strength to weakness, courage to fear, hope to despair." Silence provides space for new things to emerge, to hear the longings of the soul, and is an opening for the spirit of life. According to the Quaker Parker Palmer, the soul is shy and requires trust to appear. Stillness and silence help to build that trust and provides space for the soul to make itself known. Complete stillness and silence are not a requirement to hear the heart's desire. It can be heard even amidst the chaos of everyday life. Yet stillness and silence make it easier to hear. Intentionally stilling helps to bring greater clarity to what we might hear. Imagine that you're composing an email, watching television, maybe playing on Facebook. Then someone, perhaps your partner, your children, your boss, your patient, tries to tell you something important, like the time and location of an important event. You likely hear part of the instructions and miss the other part. So you might know where to go, but not when. So you'll need the instructions repeated. You've probably been on the other side of this as well. It can be frustrating to try to give information to someone who is not really listening. Stillness allows us to give our full attention, to listen deeply, and to be fully present to what is happening right now. Without all the other distractions, we're able to receive more information from others. That, in turn, builds trust with others. Giving our full attention to someone shows them that they are valued, that we see and we hear them. Similarly, in stillness and silence, we can listen more fully to our own heart, to our own soul, building trust within ourselves. In stillness, greater awareness of our own heart's longings is available, and a deeper connection with others and the web of all of existence is gained. Dr. Jane Goodall comes to mind when thinking of the importance of stillness and silence to building trust and connection. How long did she sit, watch, wait in stillness and silence? Over her many decades of observing chimpanzees, she built trust among them to be accepted into their society and made groundbreaking discoveries about chimpanzee behavior and relationships. In stillness, she observed the behaviors and communication patterns of the chimpanzees, building trust and connection through stillness. Stillness is often thought of something as static. That is the act of not doing. We have seen, though, that stillness is quite active. Things like trust and connection grow out of stillness and silence. And so much more is happening just below the surface of what appears to be still. Every spring we have bluebirds come to our nesting box. Once eggs are laid, the bluebird sits on the egg. The bird and the egg both appear still, yet we know that there's a great deal of action occurring in the incubation stage that will soon result in a fledgling bird. The stillness of the bird keeping the egg warm is instrumental to the development of new life. The appearance of stillness of the egg is masking a great deal of activity, both stillness and movement at the same time. Imagine yourself sitting on a beach. The air is still, the sky is bright and clear. The surface of the lake looks made of glass. Everything appears still, yet vast amounts of activity are occurring just below the seemingly still surface. Life is flourishing. Hundreds of fish are swimming, vegetation is growing, and all manner of creatures are living and dying. Stillness and action happening in concert, creating a beautiful harmony. I enjoy meditation for many reasons, one of which is that I'm doing something, meditating, while not doing anything, being still. I like that paradox of doing and not doing at the same time. In meditation, the very act of stillness that I am practicing allows for other things to occur. Stillness makes space for other movement. Focusing on the breath in meditation helps to still the body and over time to still the mind. Together, this stillness produces openings in the heart, mind, and spirit. Through stillness, a variety of physical changes occur, such as the slowing of the heart rate, deepening of breath, and reduction of stress. Stilling the thinking mind allows for greater clarity and focus, opening of the heart, and connection with the universe. Practicing stillness through meditation produces action. In a similar paradox, the practice of yoga, in which the body is moved in slow, purposeful ways, produces stillness, a stilling of the thinking mind. Stillness and movement in concert. I recall a dark, silent night in Minnesota when the first snow fell. Everything was so still and quiet. Looking up into the starry night, watching the flakes flutter to the ground, I was moved by the beauty, feeling awed, excited, and calm all at the same time. Everything seemed to be standing completely still. I believed I could almost hear the snowflakes as they met the ground. So many atmospheric changes were occurring in that moment to produce the snow, the stillness, and the silence. I imagine that feeling of awe is one of the things that compelled Wilson Bentley to photograph ice crystals. Today, it only takes a moment of stillness to snap a nice picture on our phones with the built-in macro function. Much simpler and quicker than the complex process Bentley had to create. And he had to be still for much longer, still both externally and internally. He made thousands of pictures of snowflakes, each requiring 1.5 minutes of exposure. Can you imagine? His photographs opened a whole new world of beauty to us. Snowflakes aren't all the same as might appear to the naked eye. Each snowflake is instead unique. Bentley had to be outwardly still when capturing the flakes and waiting for exposure, and an inward stillness gave him the strength to continue even though family and friends didn't approve of his efforts. Bentley's research gave us the gift of knowledge of difference and beauty found beneath the surface. Charles Beard wrote, "When it is dark enough, you can see the stars." We may not notice something until we become still enough to see. Like those ice crystals, finding that each is unique. When we go hiking, we often stop deep in the woods to listen and watch. As we sit in stillness, the forest comes alive around us. I watch the trees for the birds and the squirrels and other critters. Dave watches the ground for the insects and spiders. Sitting in stillness, we notice things that we might have otherwise missed. The year 2020 has been a year. The experience and meaning of silence likely means something very different for you this year compared to last, as we learn to navigate the shifts to every aspect of our lives. Some of you may have been plunged into a silence you were unprepared for, without the in-person interactions of church, work, school, family, friendships. Others of you may be longing for just one moment of silence in their busy days. The changes we've been experiencing over the past 9 months are unprecedented. We have had to learn so many new things, both big and small. We've engaged in conversations that many of us never imagined having. We may be feeling pulled in a million different directions with all of the things that need to be done, with all of the information we're receiving, and all of the requests for our time, attention, and money. It may seem counterintuitive amidst all that is needed to practice stillness, to carve out a moment of silence. Eckhart Tolle reminds us that stillness is where creativity and solutions to problems are found. Cultivating an inner stillness is helpful to staying centered, grounded, and fully present in the moment while everything around us appears to be swirling. That stillness will help us to find the beauty beneath the surface, to see more clearly and deeply into what is, to be open to the universe and open to the possibilities for what may come next. I know that we have a long road ahead, that everything won't magically resolve on January 1st, nor even on January 20th. Yet I am looking forward to 2021 with hope. Part of my hope is nourished by this community of GNUUC. As GNUUC exhibits an inner stillness, adapting to the changing environment, continuing to come together every Sunday, continuing to show up for each other. I am so grateful for you. On New Year's Eve, I will be taking a moment of silence to reflect on all of the people in my life, sending each thoughts of gratitude and blessings for this coming year. Then, on January 1st, we will go on a hike, as has become our tradition over the previous years. The woods are where I feel most connected to the infinite and is where I experience inner stillness. May you find spaces of stillness in your life. So be it, and amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Michelle. I love the reminder that stillness isn't necessarily inaction. The reminder that there is much happening underneath the surface, the paradox and the concert of action and stillness together. I find myself filled with gratitude for stillness at this very moment, and I truly want to thank you, Michelle, for that message today, and congratulate me for not crying all the way through it, because that spoke directly to my heart. Now, let us join together in song with one chosen by Michelle. Soon the day will arrive.
ילדים בחופשה ישחקו טוב לשאת בין הבית לבין נודדות ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה.
Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunderclouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and their vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and the promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me.
What a beautiful song. I'm so glad we chose that one. Now is the time of the service when we share those concerns or joys that have come upon us over the last week. Thank you to those who joined us on YouTube. Jenny, our Zoom host, will now turn off